All right. Let's dive into one of those moments, awkward social situations, and specifically when you're trying to handle them in English.
Right.
So we've got some really good tips and phrases from an English learning expert on how to kind of just glide through these moments with a little more grace.
For sure.
And we're going to learn how to use things like in a bit of a hurry, contact details, and even that, so dreaded, slipped my mind.
These are the moments that can really throw you off when you're talking to someone. And no matter how good your English is, you worry about making mistakes, especially in a language you're learning.
Oh, absolutely. And the scenario that they use is one that I think we've all lived through.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which is running into someone you've met before, and you want to be friendly and interested, but their name has completely disappeared.
Totally blanked.
I mean, hasn't this happened to every single person on the planet?
You just draw a blank.
It's so awkward.
And that's exactly where the language and the social dynamics really come together.
Yes.
You have to know the right words, but also how to use them to really connect with that person and not make it worse.
Okay, so let's break down some of these phrases that they call lifesavers.
Okay.
First up, in a bit of a hurry.
Yeah.
And what I love about this one is how versatile it is. It's a really polite way to excuse yourself if you need to make like a quick getaway.
Right.
Or even just buy yourself a moment to kind of gather your thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully that name will come back to you.
Exactly. And it also makes the other person feel like, okay, they're engaged, but they're busy.
Yeah.
It's totally acceptable to keep it short, and it gives you a moment to maybe remember their name.
All right. So let's go on to contact details.
Okay.
Now, this is a super slick way to get their info. Again, without that. I've totally forgotten your name confession.
Right, exactly.
Just slip it in there.
It's so smooth. You just casually say something like, hey, it was great seeing you again. Do you have a card? Or let's connect on LinkedIn. What was your last name again?
Yes. And then there's that classic slipped my mind.
Oh, yeah. It never fails.
It's just the perfect idiom for those moments when you just can't remember something.
Right. You're acknowledging that you forgot, but in like a funny way.
Right.
It just lightens the mood.
Right. Like, hey, we all have those brain fart moments.
Exactly.
It happens.
It's okay.
And they shared this hilarious story.
Oh, tell me about it.
About forgetting an uncle's name at a family reunion.
Oh, no.
It was so funny.
Oh, that's a classic.
I was dying laughing.
But, it really shows that even native speakers forget names sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
It's just part of being human.
It happens to everyone.
Doesn't mean you're bad at English.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, just to recap here, if you find yourself in that situation where someone's name has vanished into thin air, don't panic. Just try one of these phrases in a bit of a hurry.
Right.
Contact details. Or that classic slip my mind. And don't forget those nonverbal cues.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like a genuine smile.
A nice smile goes a long way.
A little bit of eye contact.
Yes.
Things like that can go a long way, even when you can't remember what to say.
Absolutely. Even if the words aren't coming out right.
Yeah.
Your body language can really help.
Exactly.
So much of communication is nonverbal, So don't underestimate it.
Absolutely. It's funny how those little brain blips can happen even when you feel good about your English.
Totally.
You're feeling confident and then boom,
right.
Your brain just decides to go on vacation.
And it's those moments that really highlight that fluency is so much more than just memorizing words and grammar rules.
Right.
It's about navigating those real-life situations,
Yes, totally. And they had some other great tips in here, too.
Yeah.
I love the suggestion of using those more casual greetings.
Oh, yeah.
Like instead of, how are you? How's it going?
Yeah.
Just feels more natural and approachable, right?
It does. It's a subtle shift, but it can really make a difference in how you come across.
Totally.
It shows that you're comfortable with the language and you're not afraid to be a little bit informal.
Right. And speaking of subtle cues, that tip about asking for a business card.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
Classic.
Like so smooth.
So smooth.
It's a way to get their name without having to admit you totally forgot it.
Exactly. A total win-win.
Right.
You get to see their name again and they feel good that you want to connect.
Right. And it's acceptable.
Yeah, it's professional.
Yes. Good.
So no need to feel awkward.
So what are some other ways that we can handle that name-forgetting situation gracefully?
Well, one thing I like to do is kind of steer the conversation away from names altogether.
Okay.
Just ask open-ended questions,
Yeah.
Show that you're genuinely interested.
Right.
Instead of getting hung up on, what's your name again? You can say something like, what have you been up to? Or how's that project going?
That's good.
You might even jog your memory naturally without having to actually ask their name.
Yeah, and even if you don't, you still had a positive interaction.
Exactly.
And if all else fails, honesty is always a good policy, right?
Oh, absolutely. Just admit it. I'm so sorry, but your name has totally slipped my mind.
Yeah.
Would you mind reminding me? Most people are totally understanding.
Right. It's just about acknowledging the awkwardness and not letting it derail everything.
Yeah. And a little humor can go a long way, too.
Oh, yeah.
Shows you don't take yourself too seriously.
People are drawn to that.
Exactly. Vulnerability is key.
I love this whole idea that fluency is really about connecting with people, not about speaking perfectly,
I couldn't agree more.
which is so reassuring.
It is. It's about getting your message across, building relationships,
Yeah.
engaging in real conversations.
Exactly. And sometimes those imperfections actually make us more relatable
Cool.
and even endearing.
They do. They make you human.
It's about embracing those moments instead of dreading them.
Well, for sure, those moments of vulnerability can lead to the strongest connections.
Okay, so beyond those specific phrases,
Yeah.
what are some other ways that we can boost our fluency?
Well, one of the best things you can do is just immerse yourself in the language.
Okay.
Surround yourself with English.
Like how?
Watch movies, listen to music, read books, follow English-speaking social media accounts.
Okay.
The more you hear and see the language, the more natural it will start to feel.
It's like creating your own little English world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes,
It's all part of it.
The more you practice, the better you'll get. And even native speakers make mistakes all the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's totally normal.
So that's reassuring.
It is.
What about accents?
That's a good question.
Do you think having an accent hinders fluency?
It's interesting because everyone has an accent.
Right.
It just reflects where you're from and your cultural influences.
Right. We tend to associate accents with non-native speakers, but really everyone speaks with an accent.
It's true. And embracing your accent can actually enhance your fluency.
Oh, interesting.
It adds a unique dimension to your communication.
Yeah,
And shows your personal history.
I like that.
Think about it. Some of the most charismatic speakers have really distinctive accents.
That's true.
It becomes part of their charm.
Yes, totally. It's like their signature.
Exactly. And I think listeners really appreciate that authenticity. It shows you're comfortable with who you are.
Makes sense. So what if someone is feeling self-conscious about their accent?
Well, I think the most important thing is to focus on clarity.
Okay.
Rather than trying to eliminate your accent completely.
Right.
Make sure people understand you. That's the key.
So true.
And there are some things that can help with clarity, like paying attention to your pronunciation, especially sounds that might be different in your native language.
Okay.
Like the thuff sound. A lot of people struggle with that one.
Yes, that one's tricky.
It is, but practicing those sounds and focusing on clear articulation can really help.
Okay.
And also be aware of your pace and intonation. Sometimes speaking a bit slower can help people understand you.
Right. Especially if they're not used to your accent.
Exactly. It gives them time to process what you're saying.
And what about intonation?
Intonation is super important, too.
Okay.
Paying attention to the rise and fall of your voice.
Yeah.
Emphasizing key words can really help convey your meaning.
Yeah, those are great tips.
Thanks.
It's an ongoing process, right?
It is. It's not about being perfect overnight.
Yeah.
It's about continuous improvement.
It's a journey.
It is.
And it's about embracing your unique voice.
Yeah.
Using it to communicate authentically.
Exactly.
Love that.
Your accent is part of what makes you you.
Okay, so we've talked about pronunciation and accents, but idioms and slang,
Oh, those can be tricky.
those can be really hard.
Right. They're like the secret codes of a language.
And they're always changing.
Exactly. They can vary by region, age group, even context.
It's just like a constantly evolving puzzle.
It is approach them with curiosity and humility.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Like ask a native speaker.
Exactly. Most people are happy to explain, and they'll probably appreciate your interest.
Right. It's like having a language guide right there with you.
Exactly. The more you expose yourself to the language, the more comfortable you'll become. So watch movies, listen to music, talk to native speakers,
Okay.
and don't be afraid to try using those idioms and slang yourself.
Practice makes perfect.
Not perfect, but better.
Right.
It's about communication and connection,
I love that.
not perfection.
It's a good reminder.
It is.
So this whole deep dive has really been about embracing those imperfections and using them to become more confident communicators.
Absolutely. Language is a tool for connection, not judgment.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's about building bridges, not walls.
I love that. And when we focus on connection rather than perfection,
Yeah.
I think it creates a more welcoming and inclusive space.
It does. It's about celebrating our diversity, appreciating all those unique perspectives.
Yeah.
And that includes our accents, our backgrounds, even our mistakes.
Our imperfections are part of what make us human.
They do. They make us relatable.
So what does fluency mean to you?
Ooh, good question. For me, fluency isn't about speaking perfectly.
Yeah.
It's about communicating authentically, being able to express myself and connect with others.
Regardless of those imperfections.
Exactly. It's about the heart of communication.
I like that.
It's not just the mechanics of the language.
So true. And it's a journey, right?
It is. It's an ongoing journey.
Always more to learn.
Always.
Which can be exciting.
It is. It's an adventure.
Filled with new discoveries and connection.
Exactly. And the most important thing is to enjoy the ride.
I love that. So let's raise a glass to the beauty and power of language.
Cheers to that.
And to the joy of connecting with others no matter how fluently we speak. And to all those awkward moments and imperfect pronunciations along the way.
They make the journey memorable.
They do. All right. Before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
I like it.
We've talked about navigating those awkward social situations. But I think the most important thing to remember is that everyone feels awkward sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
It's just a universal human experience.
It is. It's part of being human.
And the key is to embrace it.
Yes.
Laugh at ourselves a little bit and use it as a chance to connect with others.
Turn those cringeworthy moments into something positive.
Right.
Moments of shared humanity.
I love that. So next time you're feeling awkward or self-conscious, just remember you're not alone.
We've all been there.
We've all been there, and we've all survived.
And who knows, maybe that awkward moment will turn into a funny story.
Or a new friendship.
Exactly.
So remember, the beauty of language isn't about speaking perfectly.
Nope.
It's about connecting authentically and embracing the imperfections that make us human.
Beautifully said.
This has been such a great conversation.
Me too.
I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for handling those tricky social situations.
I agree. It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Wow. I feel like we've really uncovered some valuable stuff here. And this isn't just for English learners. This is for anyone who wants to, feel better in those social situations.
Totally. I think we all want to connect with people, and language is such a powerful tool to do that.
And what I really like is that it's not about perfection.
Oh.
It's about being yourself.
Absolutely. Embrace who you are.
Right.
Accents and all.
Yeah. Use your unique voice.
Yeah, let it shine.
So refreshing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've covered so much ground here.
We have.
But before we wrap up,
okay,
I want to leave our listeners with a little challenge.
Ooh, I like challenges.
We've talked about specific phrases.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering how we can apply these ideas of confidence and authenticity to other social situations.
That's a great question. I think it starts with changing our mindset.
Okay.
Instead of feeling scared or nervous.
Right.
What if we approach those interactions with curiosity?
Oh, I like that.
A genuine desire to connect and learn.
It's like turning those awkward moments into opportunity.
Exactly.
For growth.
And remember, everyone feels awkward sometimes.
Yeah, we've said that.
It's part of being human.
So instead of avoiding it, what if we embrace those moments as chances to connect?
Find that common ground.
That shared humanity.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a powerful message.
It is. And it goes beyond language.
Yeah, it's a human thing.
We're all in this together.
So to our listeners out there, embrace the journey of learning English and life itself with all its ups and downs.
For sure.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Laugh at yourself and connect with others.
Be authentic.
Yourself.
You don't have to be fluent to be a great communicator.
I love that.
Just be open to learning.
And enjoy the ride.
Enjoy it.
This has been such an inspiring conversation.
It has.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into embarrassing encounters and English fluency.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration of language culture and the human experience.